Today, inshallah, we'll be covering the different types of Hajj. And so when a person comes for Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this invitation to everyone, to all the Muslims, to all the people, to all of mankind, in fact. And so people will come in different situations, with different urgency, with different time scales. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, has made an option of 3 different types of Hajj that a person can perform. And so a person, when they come for Hajj, they choose one of these 3 types. And from these 3 types, the first is Hajj al-Ifrad. Hajj al-Ifrad. The second type is Hajj al-Qiran. And the third type is Hajj al-Tamattu. So a person, based on their situation or their preference, can choose one of these 3. So we'll go through a brief explanation of the 3 and then tackle some matters related to that, inshallah. So as for Hajj al-Ifrad, this is the simplest type of Hajj. The Hajj pilgrim who performs this type of Hajj is called a Mufrid. One who is performing a Hajj al-Ifrad is called a Mufrid. Usually it is performed by those who live in Makkah and the hill, which is outside of the boundary of the Haram, but before the miqat point. So for example, Jeddah and other such places. This is a type of Hajj which is popular with such people. It is known as the isolated Hajj, Ifrad, or to be done isolated and singular, since it is not accompanied by an Umrah. So Ifrad means entering into Ihram for Hajj only. Therefore, when a pilgrim reaches Makkah, they perform Tawaf al-Qudum, which is a Tawaf of arrival, and is something which is not obligatory but recommended, and the Sa'i for Hajj, if they choose to do it then. However, at the end of the Tawaf and the Umrah, a person does not cut or shave their hair, or shave their head, and does not exit Ihram, does not come out of Ihram. Rather, they remain in Ihram until they exit Ihram after the stoning of the Jamaratul Aqaba on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, Yawm al-Nahr. If the person decides to delay the Sa'i of Hajj until after the Tawaf al-Hajj, there's nothing wrong with that. So the pilgrim who performs this type of Hajj cannot combine it with Umrah. But if they perform Umrah during the months of Hajj, which are Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah, they are no longer a Mufrid. So if a person has performed Umrah in any of these months leading up to Hajj, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, or the beginning days of Dhul Hijjah, then they no longer are a Mufrid, and therefore cannot perform Hajj al-Ifrad. If a pilgrim performs Umrah during these months, they will be required to perform any of the other 2 kinds of Hajj that we will mention, inshallah. So that is the first type of Hajj, Hajj al-Ifrad, which we'll go into a bit more detail as to the actions of Hajj towards the end, inshallah. As for the second type, then that is Hajj al-Qiran. And the literal meaning of Qiran is to combine 2 things. And this type of Hajj is called accompanied Hajj, as it combines the Hajj with the Umrah. So Hajj al-Qiran is a concession from Allah towards those who live far away from the sacred mosque, from Masjid al-Haram. This allows a person to perform both Hajj and Umrah in a single visit. So while the Qarin, the person who's performing Hajj al-Qiran, may perform Umrah in the preceding Islamic months, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and the beginning days of Dhul Hijjah, it is common to perform it during the first 8 days of Dhul Hijjah. The Qarin must perform Umrah and Hajj in the same Ihram, irrespective of the length of duration between the 2 rituals. And that is why most people who do Qiran would be arriving later in the first 8 days of Dhul Hijjah, because if they were to do this, their Umrah earlier in Shawwal or Dhul Qa'dah, then of course they have to remain in the ihram all the way through until the Hajj days. And so the pilgrim is supposed to do Umrah first and then the Hajj. A pilgrim wears the ihram for both Hajj and Umrah, or wears the ihram first for Umrah and makes the intention for Hajj before the tawaf of Hajj. On reaching Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sacred precincts of Makkah, the Qarin, the one who's making Hajj al-Qiran, starts with Tawaf and Sa'i, the two main practices in Umrah. After performing Umrah, the pilgrim can trim their hair but not shave it until they perform Hajj. Or rather, the person does not take anything from the hair and remains in the state of Ihram. The actions done in Qiran are the same as those done in Ifrad, except that the pilgrim doing Qiran has to offer a hadi, a sacrifice, whereas the pilgrim doing Ifrad does not. And so the one in Qiran remains in Ihram like the one who's doing Ifrad. Those are the first two. And as I said, we'll go into a bit more detail and explanation towards the end, inshallah. As for Hajj al-Tamattu', this is the last of the three types of Hajj, and it's the one which is most popular from the Hajj pilgrims. And that is, the Tamattu' means to enjoy or taking advantage of a facility, is the literal meaning of Tamattu'. Similar to Hajj al-Qiran, this type also combines both Umrah and Hajj. However, the difference between them is that after performing Umrah, the Mutamatti', the one who is performing Hajj al-Tamattu', is not obliged to perform the two rituals in the same Ihram. So after al-Tamattu' means entering into Ihram for Umrah only during the months of Hajj, which were, as we mentioned, were Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and the beginning of Dhul Hijjah. And so when the pilgrim reaches Makkah, they perform Tawaf and Sa'i for Umrah. Then they shave their head or cut their hair, as opposed to the Qiran and Ifrad where they do not. And then they exit Ihram, come out of Ihram, and they can enjoy the remaining days until they enter in Ihram for Hajj, enjoying those things that are permissible when not in Ihram. And then on the day of Tarwiyah, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, then the person enters into Ihram for Hajj only from their residency and carries out all the actions of Hajj, of Tamattu', and they can come out of the Ihram on the 10th after completing two of the three rites that we mentioned. So the Mutamatti', the one who does Tamattu', enters into the state of Ihram while intending to perform Umrah alone. After performing Umrah, they exit the state of Ihram and enter into a new Ihram until when they proceed for Hajj on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, or the 9th if they choose not to go to Mina on the 8th. Whatever happens, they must perform Hajj before going back to where they come from. So just like with Hajj al-Qiran and Mutamatti' has to offer an animal sacrifice when performing this Hajj. If they fail to offer an animal sacrifice, a Mutamatti' must fast 10 days, except for the day of Eid al-Adha, 3 during the days of Hajj, and 7 upon the return home. As for the best type of Hajj, there is some difference of opinion. Many mention that Hajj al-Tamattu' is actually the preferred type of Hajj, due to the command of the Prophet ﷺ, may Allah Salah and Salam be upon him, to his companions, urging them to do so, and mentioning that had he not brought his sacrificial animal with him, he would have done the Hajj al-Tamattu'. So let's just take a quick comparison between the three types of Hajj. As it comes with regards to the rituals, the Ifrad, the Hajj al-Ifrad, only contains the Hajj, the only actions of Hajj. As for Qiran, it combines between the Umrah and the Hajj. So in terms of the actual rituals, there is no difference between the Ifrad and the Qiran. But the difference is in the intention, where the person who's making the Qiran makes the intention for both the Umrah and the Hajj combined. Whereas the Mufrid, the one doing Ifrad, has only intention for Hajj. And as for the Tamattu', then in that case a person does their Umrah, has a break coming out of Ihram, and then enters Ihram for Hajj. So Hajj only for Ifrad, combined Umrah and Hajj for Qiran, and 2 separate Umrah and Hajj for the tamattu. As for the ritual declaration, the talbiyah, the intention made to enter ihram, for the mufrid, for the one doing ifrad, it's only made for Hajj, makes the intention for Hajj. The qiran combines the intention for Umrah and Hajj, and as for tamattu, they make a separate intention for Umrah and then a separate one for Hajj. As for the state of ihram, the period in which the person is in a state of ihram, the person in ifrad is only in ihram for the period of Hajj. As for the qiran, he's in the in the state of ihram for both, for the Umrah and the Hajj. But of course, in practical terms, that is the same period as the mufrid. And as for the tamattu, the one making tamattu, then they are only in state of ihram during the Umrah, and having entered into a state of ihram and completed the Umrah, and then again having entered into a state of ihram for Hajj and completing those actions that take a person out of ihram. As for tawaf al-qudum, the initial tawaf, then that is applicable to all cases. So in all 3 cases, we see that when a person enters into past the miqat point to come into Makkah, they must all assume ihram. They must all assume ihram and not pass the miqat point without being in a state of ihram. And as for the mutamatta', the one making tamattu', they come out of the ihram after completing the umrah and cutting their hair. As for the qarin and the mufrid, the one making qiran and the one making ifrad, they remain in ihram after making the initial tawaf and, if they wish, the sa'i. So when a person initially comes as a qarin or a mufrid, they can make an initial tawaf, which is tawaf al-qudum. Along with that, they can make a sa'i, but this sa'i will count as the sa'i for their hajj, the tawaf al-ifada. And so they have the option of doing it then with the tawaf or delaying it until they do the tawaf al-ifada. So in reality, for the qarin and the mufrid, there's only one obligatory tawaf during the hajj, the whole hajj, and one obligatory sa'i. That is the tawaf al-ifada. And so when the person initially comes to Makkah, they can make the sa'i along with the tawaf al-qudum or delay it until they make the tawaf al-ifada. And so these are the 3 types of hajj. And as we said, these are made clear because, or given the option of these 3 types, because people have different needs and situations. And so for the one who can only come for a short period, then the Hajj al-Ifrad is best, or resides in Makkah, then Hajj al-Ifrad is the best, because a person can simply come straight in, just do into the state of ihram for Hajj, carry out the actions of Hajj, and then leave. As for the one who's coming from a bit further and is able to bring a sacrificial animal, then they can do that as a qarin. And as for the majority of people who have a bit more time, then they can come, make an umrah, enjoy the period out of ihram, and then re-enter into ihram after that, inshallah. So these are the 3 types of hajj that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained upon the people, and it's upon us to choose that which is best and most convenient and rewarding for us. And Aisha radiallahu anha said that when she did hajj and umrah together, qiran, your tawaf said, is enough for your hajj and umrah. That concludes our daily program. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.